All right, so you guys are meeting my band of brothers today. The guys that I call on and the ladies that I call on when I need help. And we talked earlier about doing two things. One is we're gonna ask for the support and we're gonna receive it. And I'm gonna introduce you to an individual who I have been working with every week for the last year, and I've been coaching with, and his name is Chris Wise. And I'm gonna share with you a couple little stories. We went through some really challenging experiences, and there was a couple times where I'm on the phone with him and in tears, and I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to move forward. And instead of going into the tactical, which is what we started working on initially, and that's organizational and development with the team, we went to a different place. And we started talking about that monkey chatter that comes up, and how when you start feeling like I can't do something, and then all of a sudden the monkey chatter starts, where it says, you know, you're not good enough. You can't do this. What were you thinking? Why were you? And that monkey chatter. Where Chris helped me was to get to a point of that self-love and to be at a place where I can say, you know what? I love myself. I love that little girl in me, and I'm gonna take extra special care of that little girl. And so often, we're hardest on ourselves. And so I will be forever grateful to Chris Wise for giving me that opportunity to be able to truly love myself and start with that self-love. So I'm introducing you to what I feel is one of my secret weapons, somebody that I run with, that I am so grateful for, and it's Chris Wise.
I'm laying on the cold, hard concrete. A 6'2", 250-pound white supremacist named Doc has his thick hands around my neck, choking me out, trying to kill me. And right before I black out, how I ended up here flashes before my eyes. A year and a half before, August 7th, 2013, I'm flying in from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with my beautiful Colombian girlfriend. We had just spent the last 5 months living on the beach, having the time of our lives. I'm running 3 different virtual companies, and we have a 6-month world tour planned out. As the plane is landing and taxiing at LAX, all of a sudden over the loudspeaker I hear,
hold on everybody, customs needs to come on board.
I'm texting on my phone, can't wait to go to the Melting Pot tonight. It's my favorite restaurant. The next thing I see is this big black guy walking down the aisle, and for some reason he has his eyes locked on me. He stops next to my chair. He says, "Christopher Wise?" I look up and I say, "Yeah." He goes, "You're under arrest." Now, I have no idea why this is happening. And I'm sitting in the back of the plane. And as they're walking me off the plane, everybody's looking at me like I'm a terrorist. I'm like, what is going on? Why am I being arrested? I think they might even have the wrong Christopher Wise. So I ask, are you sure you guys have the right Christopher Wise? And they say yes. The next thing I know, they're handing me off to the Secret Service. The Secret Service. That's who handles security for the president. Now I'm really like, what did I do? Tell me. And to this point, they haven't told me. Finally, they dropped 2 names, and I recognize these 2 names to be 2 people who 4 years before had helped me get a loan for my business. The loan was for $130,000, and I had used $40,000 to grow my business. Now, as I was going through the loan process, I realized they were doing a few shady things. But I didn't think I could get in trouble. I wasn't the one who was doing it. I planned to use the money for legal purposes, and I planned to pay the money back. But little did I know, me continuing to move forward with this loan process would land me 19 months in federal prison. Now, my first night in jail, I'm freaking out. I'm like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna handle this? I consider calling my attorney, but I know I don't have the $50,000 to $100,000 that it's gonna take to fight this case. So I consider using a public defender. Now see, my whole life has been about freedom. Everything that I have done has been to create more freedom in my life, and I had done an amazing job at that. I had created freedom from religion, and that I was brought up Christian, and I had pursued a spiritual path. I had found freedom in how I created my relationships. I didn't feel like I had to get married and get the state stamp of approval to create an amazing relationship. I had found freedom from stuff and from location, and that I was traveling the world, living out of 2 suitcases, and living in different cities for 3 to 6 months at a time. And I felt like I had financial freedom, and that I was running 3 different companies, and I felt in control of my financial destiny. And even though I had all of this freedom, I still didn't feel free. See, in order for me to feel free, life had to work the way that I wanted it to work. And when it didn't, I felt sad, angry, upset. So I saw control as the answer. I had to be in control of my life. And this is what I wasn't free from. In essence, I was codependent on life. In order for me to feel the way that I wanted to, life had to work the way that I wanted it to. And now I find myself in a place, all of my freedom's taken away, and I'm completely out of control. I end up working with a public defender. I'm not able to get bail, and I find myself trapped in prison. Very quickly, I learn how prison works. Prison is a hyper-masculine environment with the threat of violence always present. See, in prison, it's not okay to be vulnerable. It's not okay to show your emotion. Because when you're vulnerable, it's equated with weakness. And if you're weak, then you can be taken advantage of. So people put up walls of toughness. They take on prison names. They group together by their race to feel safe and to appear more powerful. None of this made sense to me. Because the way I saw it is, I'm a human being, you're a human being, we're both going through a difficult time, so I'm going to treat you with kindness and respect. See, that's not how prison worked. And because I chose to go through prison this way, from a very kind and loving way, there were certain people that ended up hating me. I chose not to buy into the whole prison mentality, into the whole prison politics, because I didn't want to give up more freedom that I had already lost. I chose to go through prison in the most kind and loving way. And that began with being kind and loving towards myself. See, 2 years before, from my spiritual mentor, Matt Kahn, I had learned this practice, this I love you practice, where to my own self, to my own inner child, I say the words, I love you, I love you, I love you. See, so often we're taught to love other people. We know the power of love, but so infrequently do we actually take the time to love ourselves. I also realized that the more deeply that I loved myself, the more deeply that I would be able to love others. That I would just naturally show up in the world more loving through deeply loving myself. I believe that we are all one, that all hearts are connected, and that I don't take away from anybody else when I'm taking the time to love me. I love you, I love you, I love you. In fact, every time I say I love you to myself, I'm loving all of you, and I'm loving all hearts in existence. I realized that this I love you practice was the key. It was my key to freedom. Because I had a lot of time on my hands, I ended up meditating and loving myself, my inner child, for 2 to 4 hours a day. Now, one day I'm playing cards in the lunchroom with this older man named Joe. Joe's a little emotionally unstable, and I'm beating him hand after hand after hand. All of a sudden, Joe gets so angry, he slams the table and stands up and says, "Come on, let's fight!" Now, I had visualized a moment like this happening because in my cell, one day I was meditating and loving my inner child. I thought, well, what would I do if somebody tried to fight me? Because I had made the decision to go through prison in the most kind and loving way. I had also chosen not to respond to violence with violence. So I thought, I wonder what would happen if I responded with, "I love you." Now, this decision didn't come from a place of weakness, because I had had a lot of martial arts and Krav Maga training. This idea came from a place of deep internal strength. So I thought, I wonder what would happen, and sheer curiosity. So here I am in the lunchroom, Joe's saying, "Come on, let's fight." I stand up, I look him in the eyes, and I say, "I love you. I love you." And not a weak or a soft "I love you," but an "I love you" with teeth. All of a sudden, Joe's facial composure changes. He looks lost and confused, a deer in headlights. He turns and walks away. It was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen. Now, a year later, I'm in my cell meditating and loving my inner child, myself. "I love you, I love you, I love you." And all of a sudden, Doc, the white supremacist, barges in. Boom, and he slams the door open. He storms right across to me and slaps me as hard as he can across the face. Now, I knew Doc hated me. He hated me because I was nice and kind to the other races, and I didn't buy into his white supremacist mentality. I get down into a meditative type of pose, and I put my hands up, and I say, "I don't want to fight." He goes, "Get up." I say, "No." The next thing I know, he's jumping down on top of me, choking me out. I black out. When I come to, I see him coming back down, trying to punch me, but I knew how to defend myself. So I put up my guard, and he wasn't able to get through my guard, and he backs away out of frustration. Inside, I'm saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you." And now the voice of my intuition says, "Say it loud enough, and say it so that he can hear you." I say, "I love you." He gets so angry, he picks up this plastic wrap pastry treat that was on my bed and throws it at me. He says, "This isn't any fucking Buddhist meditation retreat." And I say, "It is for me." This was my defining moment in prison. It was terrifying. I didn't know how it was going to end, but I responded to violence with love. This "I love you" practice opened up a whole new world of freedom for me. See, on the outside, my life is falling apart. I'm feeling fear, sadness, loneliness, boredom, upset. I lose my business, I lose friends, I lose my reputation, I lose the love of my life. And all this emotion is coming up. And at first, I'm not able to feel all of this emotion. But the more deeply I love myself, "I love you, I love you, I love you," I begin to feel safe in my body. Safe in one of the most violent and unsafe places I've ever been. And as I begin to feel safe in my body, I make these emotions, I begin to fully feel all of these emotions. And I realize I have a lifetime of unfelt emotion. See, I had bought into the whole personal development and positive mental attitude paradigms. And those paradigms, while they can be amazing in many ways, also taught me that it's not okay to feel negative emotions. And that I need to control my thinking so I can control my emotions, so that I can be in control of my actions, so that I can create the life of my dreams, so that I can have freedom. And I had done that. But along the way, I had created for myself a prison of control. And I wasn't truly free. And so as I begin to fully feel all of these different emotions, I make friends with fear. And fear became an obstacle, where fear was no longer an obstacle to overcome. I made friends with sadness, to where sadness was no longer something to be avoided. I made friends with loneliness, and loneliness became a bridge to oneness. I made friends with boredom, and boredom became a state of bliss. And at one moment in my cell when I was meditating, I saw all of these different emotions come together in this beautiful multi-fabric blanket of love. And each emotion was a different color, and each emotion was next to it. And in that moment, as if love was speaking directly to me, love revealed to me two profound things. One, that all emotions are part of this fabric of love. And the second thing is the purpose of every emotion. The purpose of every emotion is to be felt and acknowledged, so that I am fully free to feel all that love is. This I love you practice opened up a whole new world of freedom for me. I love you. I love you. I love you. Through this practice, I found freedom in prison. The good news is that you don't have to go to prison to find this same level of freedom. But like me, you may feel like, even though you may have a great life, you may feel like there's some sort of prison that you're in. This I love you practice is the key. It's the key to loving yourself so deeply so that you can fully feel all the emotions that are there to be felt and to free from whatever prison you might find yourself in, like I was. So I'd like to invite you with me right now, if you will, to use this key. Let's use this key right now together. So if you would, go ahead and put your hand on your heart and close your eyes and just repeat after me out loud. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you so much. And in this way, you begin to become the source of your own love, so that you can end the codependency cycle on life, so that you no longer have to rely on other people or events and circumstances to give you the love that you so deeply desire, so that whatever comes your way that you can receive as a gift, so that you can be fully free to be with life just as it is. See, only you can love you in all the unique ways that you desire to be loved. And only you can love you exactly as you deserve to be loved. I love you, and I would love to stay connected with you. There's so many more insights that I would like to share with you from my prison experience. So if you would like to stay connected, if you text CONNECT to the number on the screen, 646-495-9867. If you'd like, we can stay connected. I'll share with you my contact information. I'll also provide you an extended interview where I go in depth on my prison experience, where I talk about some more of the other crazy things that happened, what prison was like, and some other really deep insights that I think would profoundly impact you. I'll also notify you when I release my book, The Evolution of the Alpha Male, which will make an amazing gift for the man in your life. If there's one thing that I would like you to remember from our time today, in fact, I want you to remember this forever. It's to take time every day to love you. To your own inner child, say, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sue Fennessy has built 4 businesses over the last 30 years and is a leader in entrepreneurship, technology, and marketing.